I'd been dodging my stepdad Jasper in our Austin comic book store's back office. His voice was a gritty murmur, eyes too intense. I was wired from a dive bar's cheap tequila, poking at his edges, craving his spark. His hand brushed mine, electric, forbidden. I pushed further, reckless. The secret I uncovered about his affair, it's raw, and what I did to shatter them will floor you. Late past midnight, I slipped into the office of our Austin shop. Tequila still buzzing in my system, 6th Street's neon glow fading outside. Jasper, a 48-year-old store owner who'd once shredded guitar in grunge bars, was sorting vintage comics under a flickering lamp. His sandy hair streaked with silver, flannel shirt unbuttoned, radiating a rough charm I'd been itching to unravel for weeks. My mom, Lena, was at her pottery workshop, her urban design sketches cluttering our loft's counter. She'd lose it if she knew I was out this late, like when she hounded me for ditching her poetry slam. So, I moved quietly, hungry for Jasper's attention. The tequila made it easy to stir chaos. I kicked off my boots, saying his comics were too niche for a Friday crowd. My voice low but teasing, to snag his focus, hoping he'd snap back. Jasper looked up, eyes piercing, saying I'd interrupted his flow. His tone sharp, a touch sarcastic, but he didn't break eye contact, like he sensed my pull and wasn't fazed. I leaned against a shelf, suggesting he'd shine more running a zine fest. My fingers grazing a comic, a deliberate move to catch his gaze, knowing Lena's workshop would wrap soon. Her text about a transit project sat unread. I wasn't aiming high, just nudging to make him notice. I said his shop needed more edge. My words bold, probing, to see if he'd push back or stay Lena's tame husband. He set a comic aside, saying edge wasn't his issue, and stepped closer. His hand hovered near mine on the shelf, not touching, but close enough to ignite a thrill. His voice dropped, asking what I was playing at, like he caught my vibe and wasn't shutting it down. I tilted my head, saying he still had some stage grit. My jacket slipping slightly, intentional, to hold his stare. He said grit like mine was dangerous, his tone half joking, with a sharpness I craved. His fingers shifted a comic, grazing the air by my wrist, not grabbing, but enough to spike the tension. His hands calloused, torn between retreat and diving in. The office's hum of distant bar noise made us feel cut off. Lena's workshop was a ticking clock, her presence looming, like she'd sense if I laughed too loud. I wanted to push but keep it subtle. So, I grabbed a comic, Frank Miller, worn but iconic, flipping it, saying I'd swipe his best stock someday. My voice a jab, serious. He smirked, saying stock like mine was tough to manage. His hand moved a box, a gesture that landed because I wanted his reaction, even with Lena's shadow near. Her car rolled up early, her voice calling from the shop's front, sharp, like she smelled trouble. I stepped back, tossing the comic down, saying I was checking inventory, my voice quick. Jasper grabbed comics, saying he was organizing, his tone flat, like he hadn't leaned in. His glance was fleeting, but he knew I felt it. I shouted I'd leave, heading for the door. Lena waited, eyes narrowing at my jacket, asking why I was here late, her gaze flicking to the office's light, a detail she'd pocket. I said the bar ran long, shrugging, steps fast, avoiding Jasper's eyes but feeling them, knowing he stayed silent, leaving me to carry the weight. The office's musty air was thick with what I'd sparked. Lena didn't press, muttering about her workshop, but her stare lingered. I walked home, tequila fading, Jasper's vibe burning, plotting my next move, because her eyes caught too much. I wasn't letting it go. Days later, I was over Lena's design sketches cluttering our Austin loft. Her voice droned on a client call about bike lanes when I saw a chance to up the stakes. I headed to Jasper's shop to drop a flyer for her art fair, knowing he'd be prepping a comic sale. I kept replaying his office moment, his hand near mine, and I wanted to test if he'd lean in or pull back. Lena's knack for spotting my lies, like when she grilled me about my jacket, kept me cautious, but teasing Jasper was too tempting. I threw on a cropped tee, zipper low, and went. Lena's text about a zoning vote ignored. The shop's backroom was a tight space behind the counter, crammed with invoices, old posters, smelling of ink and coffee. Jasper was at a desk, sorting orders, flannel shirt open, silver-flecked hair tousled, less shop owner, more the guy who'd jammed with bands I'd die to meet. A vibe I'd wanted to crack since that night. I dropped the flyer, saying his sale needed more fire to pull a crowd. My voice sharp, grinning, to hook him. He looked up, saying I'd stormed his chaos, tone dry, snappy, but his eyes hit my tea, a look that didn't dismiss me. I leaned on the desk, saying Lena's fare needed his old stage swagger. My fingers nudged the flyer, a slow move to make him notice, knowing Lena's call could end soon, her last question about my shop hours fresh. The risk made me bold, not nervous, because I was running this. I shifted, saying he'd forgotten how to draw a crowd. My tea slipping slightly, deliberate, to keep his eyes. He set his pen down, saying crowds like mine were hard to read. His words slow, skeptical, like he saw my move and wasn't sure how to play. His hand slid invoices, close to my fingers, not touching, but sparking heat. His hands rough, stuck between backing off or stepping up. The backroom's buzz of shop chatter made us feel alone. Lena's call loomed. I leaned closer, saying reading me took more than his usual tricks. My voice low, daring, to keep him hooked. Guilt crept in when I saw Lena's photo on the desk, her smile a stab at what I was risking. He stood, saying tricks weren't his thing anymore. His tone half serious, stepping to a shelf, grabbing a comic, saying he'd need help if I stayed. His voice a challenge, like he called my bluff. I moved beside him, saying I'd help if he admitted I shook him. My fingers brushing the shelf, keeping him locked. The shop's noise faded, like we'd shut out the world. Lena's presence lingered, her text a whisper. A delivery guy's shout about a late shipment broke the moment, shifting the vibe. I stepped back, saying we spooked him, my laugh forced, because his words hit, and I'd leaned too close, guilt sharper, a weight I couldn't shake. I grabbed my bag, saying his sale was fine, he didn't need me. My voice light to hide his grip on me. He said I'd be back, he'd bet on it, tone calm, like he saw my next step. Lena's text buzzed, asking where I was, like she caught a wrong note. I headed out, saying I'd walk, not wanting his shadow. Steps quick, shop noise fading, knowing I'd pushed too far. Her questions would hit hard if I didn't cool it, but the heat burned, and I wasn't sure I could stop without losing my edge. 10 days after I rattled Jasper in his backroom, I was done with Lena's design clutter in our Austin loft. Her voice droned on a client call about green spaces when I saw a shot to push further. I headed to the shop's workshop to help Jasper frame posters for a promo video, knowing he'd be alone. I couldn't stop thinking about his backroom vibe, his hand brushing close, and I wanted to crack his calm, because I wasn't backing off. Lena's sharp eye, like when she questioned my late hours, had me careful, but testing Jasper was a high I couldn't shake. I threw on a loose tank top, low cut, and went. Lena's text about a client pitch ignored. The workshop was a small, soundproof room lined with cork and band flyers, smelling of glue and paint. Jasper was adjusting a frame, flannel sleeves rolled, silver-flecked hair in soft light, less shop owner, more the guy who backed bands I'd kill to jam with. A vibe I'd craved to test since The Office. I shut the door, saying his video needed grit to sell. My voice sharp, grinning, to grab him. He looked up, saying I'd walked in unannounced, tone dry, snarky, but his eyes hit my top, a look saying he wasn't dodging. I leaned on the workbench, saying Lena's fare needed his stage charm. My fingers brushing a tool, a slow move to make him notice, knowing Lena's call could end, her last nag about my schedule fresh. The risk made me bold, running the show. I shifted, saying he'd forgotten how to hit the right notes. My tank top slipping on purpose to keep his eyes. He set the frame down, saying notes like mine were hard to play. His words slow, cynical, like he caught my move and wasn't sure how to counter. His hand adjusted a poster, close to my arm, not touching, but sparking fire. His hands rough, stuck between pulling back or stepping in. The workshop's hum of tools cut us off from the world. Lena's call a shadow. I leaned closer, saying playing me took more than his tricks. My voice low, daring, not playing safe. Guilt hit hard when I saw Lena's sketchbook on a shelf, her plaza doodles a stab at what I was risking. He stood, saying tricks weren't his deal. His tone rough, voice dropping, admitting he'd tried to keep it straight, but I made it impossible, feeling something real he shouldn't. His words raw, guard down, and I froze. My fingers tight on the tool, because I'd pushed for this, but hearing it hit hard. A rush I chased, now burning. Guilt deeper, because I meant to steer, not feel. Lena's sketchbook, a reminder of what I was breaking. I said he'd better mean it, my voice soft, shaky, because I felt it too, and it scared me, even as it pulled. I stepped closer, saying real was my sound. My hand brushing the workbench, honest, stinging. The workshop's silence wrapped us, like no one could touch us. Lena's voice broke through, calling from the shop floor, pissed, sensing trouble. I pulled back, saying I was helping, voice cracking. Jasper grabbed a frame, saying he was working, tone flat, like he hadn't bared himself. His glance quick, knowing we'd gone too far. I shouted I'd be out, heading for the door. Lena waited, eyes narrowing at my top, asking why I was here late, gaze flicking to the workshop's light, a detail she'd hold. I said I was sorting promo stuff, shrugging, steps fast, not looking at him, but feeling his eyes, knowing he stayed quiet, letting me carry it. The workshop's hum heavy with what I'd drawn out. She didn't push, muttering about her call, but her look stuck. I headed home, bar buzz gone, Jasper's confession burning, planning my next move, because her eyes saw too much. I wasn't letting this slip. 2 weeks after Jasper's workshop confession set me ablaze, I was done with Lena's design papers cluttering our Austin loft. Her voice humming on a client call about park trails when I jumped at a chance to push further. I tagged along with Jasper to a storage unit across town to sort promo gear for a comic fest. I kept replaying his raw words, how he felt something, and I wanted to test him, shake his cool, because I wasn't slowing down. Lena's sharp instincts, like when she caught my shaky excuse after the workshop, had me careful, but toying with Jasper was a rush I couldn't ditch. I slipped on a loose t-shirt, sleeves rolled, and followed. Lena's text about a client deal ignored, her voice a warning I brushed off. The storage unit was a maze of boxes, smelling of dust and plastic, air conditioners humming. Jasper stood by a table, sorting zines, flannel shirt creased, hair messy, less shop owner, more the guy who backed bands I'd kill to see. A vibe I'd craved to crack since The Office. I dropped my bag on a box, saying his promo needed a boost. My voice sharp, grinning, to grab him. He looked up, saying I'd shown up uninvited. His tone dry, snarky, but his eyes hit my sleeves, a look not shutting me out. I stepped to the table, saying Lena's fare had more pull than his zines. My fingers sliding a zine, a slow move to catch his eye, knowing Lena was tied up, but her call could hit. The risk made me bold, steering this. I leaned over, saying he'd lost his knack for crowds. My t-shirt shifting on purpose to keep his attention. He set zines down, saying crowds like mine were tough. His words slow, cynical, weighing his play. His hand pushed a box, brushing air near my arm, not touching, but sparking heat. His hands rough, stuck between stepping back or leaning in. The storage unit's clatter made us feel alone. Lena's call a shadow. I slid another zine, saying handling me took more than his moves. My voice low, daring, not safe. Guilt hit when I saw Lena's business card in a box, her name a jab at what I was risking. He stood, saying old moves weren't his thing, tone rough, stepping to a box, lifting a banner, saying he'd need help if I stayed. His voice a challenge, matching my jab. I moved beside him, saying I'd help if he admitted I rattled him. My fingers brushing the banner, keeping him locked. The storage unit's noise faded, like we'd blocked the world. Lena's presence loomed, her text a whisper. A worker's shout, cursing a jammed lock, cut through, shifting the mood. I stepped back, saying we spooked him, my laugh forced, because his words landed, and I'd leaned too close, guilt sharper, a weight I couldn't dodge. I grabbed my bag, saying his promo was set, he didn't need me. My voice light to hide his vibe's grip. He said I'd be back, he'd bet on it, tone calm, like he saw my next step. Lena's text buzzed, asking where I was, catching a wrong note. I headed out, saying I'd walk, not wanting his shadow. Steps quick, storage dust lingering, knowing I'd pushed too far. Her questions would hit if I didn't ease up, but the heat burned, and I wasn't sure I could stop without losing my edge. 1 week after I shook Jasper in that dusty Austin storage unit, I pulled him to a 6th Street dive bar to help with a shop promo. Tired of Lena's design emails piling up, her voice droning about streetscapes. His workshop confession, raw words about feeling something real, kept replaying, and I wanted to push him to the limit. My tequila buzz from a pre-game shot made me fearless. Lena's sharp eye, like when she caught my weak excuse after the workshop, had me cautious, but toying with Jasper was a rush I couldn't quit. I threw on a loose tank top, sleeves rolled, and met him. Lena's text about a client deal ignored. The bar was loud, neon flickering, air thick with whiskey and sweat. Jasper stood by a stage, tuning a Fender, flannel shirt open, silver-flecked hair messy, less shop owner, more the rock star I'd wanted to crack since The Office. I stepped up, saying his promo needed my energy. My voice sharp, grinning, to hook him. He shot back I'd crashed his plan, tone snarky, eyes catching my top, a look not backing off. I grabbed a guitar, strumming a chord, saying he'd flop without me. My tank top shifting, a move to grab his attention, subtle to stay safe. He strummed a riff, saying I'd pushed too far. His hand brushing the fretboard near mine, not touching, but sparking fire. His eyes held mine, daring me to go on. I leaned closer, voice low, saying I'd steal his spotlight if he didn't step up. My fingers sliding along the guitar neck, a bold nudge to keep him locked, knowing Lena could call. Her last question about my late night fresh. The risk pushed me harder, in control. He said stealing from him took more than my tricks. His tone rough, cynical edge I liked. I grinned, saying tricks were my specialty. Guilt hit, seeing Lena's name on a bar flyer, her fairest stab at what I was risking. The bar's noises, clinking glasses, chatter, made us feel alone, but Lena's shadow loomed. Her text a whisper. A drunk patron's shout, cursing a spilled drink, cut through, shifting the vibe. I stepped back, saying we spooked him, my laugh forced, because his look landed, and I'd leaned too close, guilt sharper, a weight I couldn't shake. I set the guitar down, saying his promo was fine, he didn't need me. My voice light to hide his vibe's grip. He said I'd be back, he'd bet on it, tone calm, knowing my next move. Lena's call hit, pissed, asking where I was, loud over bar noise. I said I was helping Jasper, voice quick, guilt surging as I headed out, her eyes catching my flushed face at home. Details she'd hold. The bar's neon heavy with what I'd stirred. 1 week after our bar jam set me ablaze, I slipped into the shop's office in Austin on a rainy Tuesday night. Lena's design binders cluttering home, her absence at a client meeting a chance to push my game with Jasper to the limit. His workshop confession and bar riff burned, and I wanted to end this, not reckless, but with a showdown to expose his secrets. Lena's instincts, like when she caught my flushed face, had me on edge, but outplaying Jasper was a rush I couldn't quit. I wore a loose t-shirt, sleeves rolled, and stepped in. Jasper was at the desk, sorting invoices, flannel shirt open, silver-flecked hair messy, less shop owner, more the rock star I'd been unraveling, hitting me like a chord I couldn't shake. I leaned on the desk, saying his invoices were as dull as his old gigs. My voice sharp, smirking, to hook him. He looked up, saying I'd crashed his night, tone dry, snarky, but eyes locked on mine, like he'd been waiting. I slid a flyer, saying Lena's fare needed his charm. My t-shirt shifting, a subtle move to keep his focus, knowing Lena could show, her last text about a vendor deal ignored. The risk made me bold, in control. He set his pen down, saying charm like his was too much for this stage. His words slow, cynical. His hand pushed papers, brushing air near my fingers, not touching, but sparking fire, his hands heavy, like he was trapped. We sat. The office's hum of rain made us feel alone. Lena's binders at home, a reminder of what I risked. I stood, saying too much was my style. My voice a low challenge, stepping closer, saying he dodged me since the bar. My fingers trailing the desk, keeping him pinned. Guilt sharp, because I'd gone too far, felt too much. Lena's photo on the wall, a family shot from last spring, cut through my nerve. He rose, saying he wasn't dodging, but I made it impossible to stay steady. His voice rough, guard down. I froze, hand on invoices, because I'd pushed for this, but the weight of her trust, our family, hit hard. Guilt louder than the storm. I pulled out emails, printouts of his plans with Marla, his betrayal of Lena, of me, and slapped them on the desk, saying, thought I wouldn't find out. His face paled, eyes steady, and I stepped closer, voice low. You crossed the wrong one. Lena's car roared in early, her voice slicing through, calling me, furious, sensing a break. I stepped back, saying I was sorting, voice shaky, while Jasper shoved emails into a drawer, saying he was working, tone flat, glance quick, knowing we'd gone too far. Lena stormed in, eyes blazing, screaming what I'd done, her voice shredding, saying she'd seen my late nights, his excuses, my dodges, accusing Jasper of betraying her again. Her words cut at secrets I hadn't grasped, throwing a binder at the wall, yelling I'd broken her trust, broken us. I cracked, confessing I pushed him, but he's been with Marla. Lena's scream choked, Jasper's silence a roar. The office's rain-soaked light spilled out, leaving me to face the wreckage I'd lit. My control shattered.